Hey, everybody. This is Rika.
Shanika.
And this is our first live stream for our salon. And so we're really excited to be able to reach everybody this way. We miss you guys. And we just want to say hey, and that we miss you and we love you. So definitely hit us in the comments if you miss us as well. So bear with us. This is, like I said, this is our first time. So this is something new for us that we wanted to make sure we reached out to everybody and do it. But if you all see any technical difficulties, just bear with us. But we promise we won't have any Teddy Riley and Babyface moments, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay, so we're going to get right into what we want to talk about today. I think we want to make sure that you all have your questions ready. So if you have any questions, go ahead and get those ready so that when we open up time for questions that you are ready to put your question into the comments, because that way we'll be able to see them. We also want to just make sure that you all are following us on all of our social media. So our web page is www.cnrbeautybar. And of course, if you're watching on Facebook, then you know what our Facebook is, but it's CNR Beauty Bar. And on Instagram, we are CR Beauty Bar. So no and, just CR Beauty Bar on Instagram. So make sure you follow us on all of our other social media platforms. And then new is that we have our YouTube channel. So our YouTube, we just launched that last week, and this will be featured on our YouTube channel. So if you missed the broadcast, we're going to put it up there, and we're also going to put it into our Facebook timeline as well. So definitely check that out. And hopefully we will see you all there. So today, Shanika, if you want to tell everybody what
we're going to be talking about, this is our natural hair meetup, Corona Care edition. So we're going to give you guys a little bit of information on what you can be doing to continue to ensure the health of your hair while we're all stuck in the house. Because we don't want y'all to come back to us with your hair tore up. And, you know, you're going to feel better. We all sit in the house and we're kind of just maybe a little bit down and feeling a little bit out, but you're going to feel better if you look better. And so we're going to give you some tips on how to help you look better, take a little bit better care of yourself. And so we have a little bit of information for you, but we want your questions as well. So just be thinking of those questions, type them up in the comments box. We're going to try to get to as many of them as we can in the hour that we're streaming. So.
All righty. So some of the things that we definitely want to make sure that we touch on today is what is natural hair? Natural hair wash day. We want to talk about deep conditioning. And then the 3 C's, which is cut, color, and chemical. Okay. So first off, what is natural hair? So natural hair is pretty much anything that is not chemically straightened is the way that I would categorize natural hair. Because some people would say, well, natural hair is no chemicals at all, but you can have color in your hair and your hair can still be natural, right? So that is to us still natural hair. And then there's also different textures and curl patterns in natural hair. And Shanika, she can definitely back me up when I say that we don't necessarily believe in the letter number system, because as hairstylists, we know that it's hard to put our clients in a box. Most people will say, well, I have 4C hair, and you really don't. But we don't really subscribe to that. We don't really subscribe to that way of labeling our clients because when you get to using those, so it's a letter system that says pretty much from like number 1 to 4, and then letters A, B, and C. And so you can have a variety of combinations of those hair, I guess, textures or patterns, however you want to call it. And we don't like to put people in those boxes because there's so many other things that can, put you in those boxes as far as like not just your curl pattern, not just your texture, but porosity, your hydration, whether or not you are chemically treated or not, like all of those things, whether you have heat damage or not, so that can mess up your curl pattern and the things like that. And so Nevada says she has 5G hair. I cannot. But all of those things can mess up curl patterns. So I don't like to really put people in boxes. I like to address the issue of each individual client as they're sitting in our chair and teach them how to care for their natural hair. Do you agree, Shanika?
I absolutely do. I know that a lot of companies and just like natural hair brands in general will use the hair typing system to kind of make you think that they use it as a tool to help you try to figure out which product might be helpful for you. And it was invented originally by Andre Walker, which was Oprah Winfrey's hairstylist. And he originally came up with it because he had a hair product line that he was trying to sell. And for him, within his product line, that hair typing system is what he went by to help people identify what specific products would help for them. Some product lines now still do that to try to help you figure out what you can buy that will work for your hair. But like Rika said, there are so many variables in between other than just your visible curl type. Two people may have the exact same visible hair type, but once you get inside of it, one hair might be denser, one hair might have gray, the other may not. There's so many different variables that go into typing the hair. So try not to get caught up into that. Try not to get stuck on that. Whether you have super loose curls or super tight curls, just try to embrace what you have and make it work for you.
Right. And most people have more than one type of hair on their head anyways. And so that's another reason why you shouldn't really try to box yourself into saying, oh, I have 3B hair, because you could have one texture around your front, and then in the crown of your head, it'd be totally different. Or in the nape of your head, it's a totally different curl as well. And so it's really hard to try to say, oh, I need to use this product because it's for 3B hair, when you have maybe 2 or 3 different textures kind of going on in the head anyway.
I think that's the biggest part. Like we can say, oh, I have 4G hair, or 4G. Nevada, you did that. You might say I have 3G hair, but 3B hair. You might have 3B right here, but then right here is a 2A, and then on the sides it's a 2B. So one product is not going to address 3 different hair textures on one head. Keep that in mind.
Yes. Do you all have any questions about like hair types or hair textures? Do you understand the difference between like curl pattern and curl texture? Would you all like for us to explain that a little bit more, or are you good? Like, just type it in the comments and let us know. And while you do that, there is a difference between texture and pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll just briefly say pattern is the turn of the hair. So the spiral of the hair. Some people have a loose spiral. Some people have a very tight spiral. I have a very tight spiral. And some people have more of like maybe a S pattern instead of a spiral altogether. And some people have a zigzag. And then some people don't have a spiral or S pattern at all. It's kind of just like a frizzy, it's more frizzy than it is a spiral. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, kind of almost like the curl.
Almost like a wave.
Yeah, a wave. The curl just does some willy-nilly, whatever it wants to shape. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And so then you mix that with texture, right? So texture is if is it fine, is it medium, or is it coarse? Um, and so and that's defined by looking at the individual hair strand and how thick or thin the actual hair strand is. If the hair strand is very thick and not bendable, then you have coarse hair. And so you can have coarse, straight hair, or you can have coarse, curly hair, and just meaning that your curl is not super flexible. And most people who have um, very tightly curled hair, a pattern that is a tight texture, they have fine hair most of the time. The actual strand of hair is actually fine, but we think that because it's tightly coiled, then it's also then coarse. And so that's where we sometimes get mixed up with selecting products or conditioning treatments and things like that that we need for the hair, because we're getting our curl pattern and our curl texture mixed up. Does everybody understand that? Can y'all give me some thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Or some high fives or anything to make sure that we're not mixing you all up and that you understand exactly what we're talking about. Okay. Well, Shanika, do you want to start to talk about our do you want to start to talk about the difference between or the different types of wash, what we do for wash day? That was the next thing we wanted to talk about.
So wash day, I'm sure some of you have already had the experience with having to do your own wash day. I hope it's gone well. If it hasn't, we are going to give you a little bit of help. So wash day is the day that you have selected to wash your hair. Usually it'll be on the same day of the week. But it's part of your natural hair care routine that you have set up for yourself, right? And so wash day will include shampooing. It will include conditioning your hair. It may also even include a steam treatment or conditioning treatments under a heated dryer or a heat cap or something like that. So obviously you're going to start with shampooing. Well, actually, if you have difficulty just shampooing your hair in general, you may want to start with a pre-poo, or something that's going to help you, that's going to help your shampoo regimen go a little bit better. So you can do a pre-poo, you can do a detangling spray or a leave-in spray before you shampoo, and then also detangle your hair manually. All these things are going to help to get the tangles out of your hair, or at least a little bit before you actually start your routine. And it's going to help each step of your routine go a little bit better. One pre-poo that I really, really like is Diva Curl Wash Day Wonder. I also like Deca Plus. They have a leave-in spray. It's called Satin Tame. You literally just spray it on, let it sit for a few minutes, and you can start to detangle, whether with a comb or with your hands, to start to break up the tangles before you actually get to the shampoo part. And then with both of those, so with let's say you do a detangling spray, you'll spray it on, wait a few minutes, and start to detangle, whether you just kind of manually do it with your hands or with a brush or a comb. And I would never recommend to detangle your hair dry. Manually detangle your hair dry. So we're using that leave-in spray, like the Deca Plus Satin Tame. You're using that as your hair wetter. That's not a real word, but we're going to use it for today. You're going to use that as like the moisture you're putting onto your hair so that your hair doesn't break more while you're detangling it. So let's say you use that Deca Plus spray it onto your hair, you wait a few minutes, and then you manually are going to start to detangle the hair and get the kinks out. And then from there, you would go to wet your hair and then shampoo it. If you use something like a Wash Day Wonder that's more of a pre-poo, you are going to wet your hair first and then apply the Wash Day Wonder or the pre-poo Work it in just like you would shampoo, and you will start feeling the tangles leave your hair. And then you don't rinse that out. You immediately put the shampoo on, and the two products will start working in tandem. So your pre-poo and your shampoo will start working together to help start to detangle some of the tangles in your hair. Other things that you can do are, if you have a lot of hair, is to section your hair. So you would divide your hair anywhere from 4 sections to 6 sections. Like you'd have a section here, 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 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And before you get into the shower, you're going to twist each section or braid each section or put each section in a ponytail, but you're going to keep them out of each other's way, right? That's going to allow you to have control and to help you manage the whole process a little bit better. And then you would actually shampoo each section separately. And then you're going to shampoo one section, and then you're going to bind it back up. Then you're going to go to your next section, shampoo, and bind it back up. And your whole routine past the shampoo is going to also look like the same thing. So you're going to shampoo, rinse, do your next section. And once you get done with the whole head, then you're going to come back to that first section, and you're going to condition, rinse, do the whole head, and then go to the next part. And that is mostly for ease of control, to make the situation a little bit more manageable for you.
Yeah. So we have a couple of questions. All right. So there was a question about what's the difference between co-wash and I guess a regular shampoo. And I would say that the difference is a co-wash is going to be sulfate free, and it's going to have no suds, and so it'll have some cleansers in it, but it will not. It won't suds. So you'll still get some cleansing effects from it, but it doesn't sud up. There's also sometimes you can use your conditioner as a co-wash. And I recommend this for people who don't have a lot of product buildup, but need to maybe refresh their curls. So you get your hair wet. You almost use the water as your first shampoo, if you want to say, and then you apply your conditioner and detangle your hair and everything with the conditioner in it, and then you rinse, and that's your refresher or your co-wash. So it's like condition, wash, put those two together is co-wash. But some product lines have developed co-washes that actually do have cleansers in them that are not to be used as a conditioner, if that makes any sense. So there are some products that have been developed that are co-washes that do not suds, but do have cleansers in them. And then there's a method that you can do on your own where you use your conditioner as your cleanser, and you just are refreshing your curls. And again, that method I think works best for people who don't have a lot of product buildup. If you have a lot of product buildup, you definitely want to cleanse your hair and get all of that product off of your hair and out of your hair, and then move on to your conditioner. And if you use a product that is a co-washed cleanser, so a product that has cleansers in it, then you want to definitely go to the next step of making sure that you condition your hair. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does.
Right.
The other question that we have, and did you want to add anything on that, Shanika?
No, I didn't. Let's move on to the next question.
The other question was, how often should you cleanse your hair? And Shanika, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I may tell you that you can shampoo your hair at least once a week. If you're more active, you can do it more than that. I used to shampoo my hair every day. I am reformed. But just know that if you shampoo every day or however often you shampoo, you have to follow up with conditioner. But let's just back it up, go back to shampoo. Part of it depends on what your lifestyle is like, whether you're really active, if you work out, if you sweat a lot, if you get light sweats, all that. You can shampoo twice a week. At the most, a lot of times with really curly hair, our hair tends to dry out with the more shampoo we use, and that's where co-washes may become handy for you, like just using your conditioner and use it as a replacement shampoo if your hair is not if you don't have product buildup, if you don't have sweat and dirt buildup, you can kind of substitute your regular sudsing shampoo and do a conditioner or a conditioning wash instead. And so you can do that anywhere from twice a week to once a week. And at the very least, I would say you should shampoo your hair every 2 weeks at the least.
Right. So the longer you go in between shampoos, the more dehydrated your hair can become. And so you can, so you have to think about it like a plant. You don't go a long time in between watering your plant. So you would not go a really extended amount of time without also then cleansing and conditioning your hair. So that's why we would recommend about every 2 weeks, unless you have a protective style. Then of course you're going to go a little longer, but then your scalp care, it will be important as well. And how you take care of your protective style will be important as well. So there was a question about dry shampoo as well. I think if you have a protective style, sometimes you can use a dry shampoo lightly. The only thing I caution about dry shampoo is buildup. Sometimes it can cause a lot of buildup in the hair because the dry shampoo is meant to be worked into the scalp and then brushed out through the hair. So I caution, using or suggesting dry shampoos, but you could use them. It is a possibility. And then the last question we had about shampooing was, should you use your hands or should you use a comb? And the person was worried about breakage and using a comb versus your hands, or maybe even using a brush. Which one would we recommend?
I think it depends on a lot. I think a lot of it depends on what your comfort is. So if using a comb or a brush is going to cause you physical pain, start with your hands. And I say start with a big tool. So your hands are pretty big tools, right? Start with a big tool and work your way down to smaller tools. And a smaller tool is going to help like really detangle every strand of hair. A big tool like your hand is just going to start breaking up some of the tangles that you have. But to really get a really good detangle, effective detangle to go on to eventually style your hair, you want to use a fairly small tool, a wide tooth comb, a Denman brush, something of that nature. A shampoo brush with the short plastic bristles are going to help to detangle your hair most effectively, I think.
And then before we move on to conditioning, because we're going to talk about that for sure, because that's a very, very, very important step in your wash day care. We've got two questions, one about dreads and then one about shedding. So dreads, it depends on what stage you are in your locking process. If your hair is already locked and you've had your locks for a while, to shampoo once a week is still okay. You just have to be mindful that the more you shampoo and get your hair wet, the more puffy your regrowth will become. And so if you're going to cleanse your hair when you have dreads or locks, like we like to use the word, you're going to also need to retwist them, even if it's just a light retwist. And then as far as the shedding, though the shedding can be reduced if you do like maybe a pre-poo or do a leave-in conditioner to detangle your hair before you cleanse, and then also how you shampoo your hair when you're cleansing your hair. So if you are roughing it up while you're cleansing and tangling it back up, then it's going to be maybe a little bit more shedding from you trying to tug and disentangle your hair. So when you're cleansing your hair, you want to make sure that you use the water in a downward motion so that your hair doesn't retangle up. And so if you get in the shower or maybe leaning over in the tub, You want to make sure that you're using a downward motion when you're cleansing so that it doesn't get all ruffled up and retangled. And then you're having to do a lot more detangling and a lot more pulling out, and you'll experience a lot more shedding. If you go a long time in between shampoos, you're going to have more shedding because that hair is supposed to come out daily. We all have hair that is supposed to come out daily. And so the longer you go in between your shampoos, the more shedding that you're going to have when you actually shampoo and condition your hair. So let's definitely move on to the most important part of wash day, which is your conditioning step.
Yay, condition.
Yay. So can you, Shanika, tell us about the different types of conditioners?
Okay, there are many types of conditioners. Most important, I think, for naturals or curly hair is a moisturizing conditioner. It's something that you would use immediately following your shampoo, and it is made to be rinsed out of your hair. A lot of times we'll call it a rinse conditioner. So you would shampoo, rinse it out, apply your conditioner, and then you're going to leave that to sit for at least 5 minutes so it can kind of start to penetrate the cuticle layer of your hair. And that is made to be rinsed out. A question we had a little while ago, somebody asked, can you over condition your hair? You can condition your hair every day, but it should be rinsed out. You don't ever want to do anything like let the conditioner sit on any longer than a recommended time. So always flip your products over and read the instructions. The manufacturer says leave it on for no more than 10 minutes. Follow the manufacturer's instructions because they've created the product to work in a specific way. And if you decide to use it in a different way, you're going to get different results. So just keep that in mind. Don't ever let the conditioner sit on overnight. That can cause the conditioner to dry up on your hair strands and eventually cause breakage to your hair. So you can over condition, but it depends on how you're using it. Usually if you use a conditioner in the way that it's meant to be used per manufacturer's instructions or directions, you shouldn't have any issues with conditioning. But there have been so many days where I will skip the shampoo and just condition my hair, whether that's to refresh my curls or because I'm going to use it as a co-wash. But I use way more conditioner than I do shampoo. Not anymore, obviously, but when I had a little bit of hair, I use way more conditioner. So we have a traditional rinse conditioner is made to be rinsed out immediately following your shampoo. And then we have leave-in conditioners. That's something that you would do following your conditioning step. And it's something that is an extra bonus, but should never take the place of your regular conditioner that's a part of your wash day routine. Leave-in conditioners are made to kind of seal in the water that's already on your hair. We get our moisturization from the water, not necessarily from the conditioners. The conditioners actually condition the hair. The water is what actually moisturizes the hair. So when you rinse out your final conditioning rinse, you still have water left on your hair. You're going to use something to seal that water in. And a lot of times that can be the leave-in conditioner. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to jump in to think of like your leave-in conditioner or even your conditioners as like a fabric softener, right? So when you washing your clothes, you put the fabric softener in there to help keep it soft, to keep the clothes manageable and to take care of the fabrics. But you would never just throw fabric softener onto dry clothes. It does no good.
Right.
So same thing with your leave-in conditioner. If you have not properly cleansed your hair, and or if you have not like put the rinse conditioner in there to really help to soften, because that's what's going to give you a little bit longer of softness and care for your hair with your rinse conditioner, because it's going to penetrate a little bit deeper. It would be like just throwing fabric softener on dry hair if you just went straight to on dry clothes, if you just went straight to your leave-in conditioner. It's going to soften the clothes, but it is not going to really, it's not going to be clean. The clothes are not going to lay right. Over time, it's not going to look right. Same thing. So don't skip don't skip that step of the rinse conditioner and go immediately to just the leave-in conditioner, because it's not going to be enough for your hair. Leave-in conditioner is like a styling aid.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a styling aid. So then go ahead, Shanika, because you're about to get to my favorite conditioner, which is
conditioners.
Deep conditioners.
Deep conditioners are going to add some extra nutrients for your hair. Usually you're going to use them because you're addressing an issue that you want to be corrected. Traditional conditioners should be used all the time. You should think of deep conditioners almost as a prescriptive or prescription type of treatment, right? So you're going to use it when you have something wrong with your hair that you need to address. So if your hair is dry and it's not getting resolved with your regular conditioner, then you need to take it a step up. If your hair has breakage, then you need to find something that may help to address that breakage. If you have coarse hair that you want to soften, you can find something that will help to do that. Deep conditioners traditionally are made to be used after your conditioning treatment. I'm sorry, after your traditional conditioner. So don't ever skip that conditioning step. Just like Rika said, you're going to do a shampoo, you're going to do a regular conditioner, and then you're also going to do a deep conditioner. The regular conditioner is going to kind of be the jump off. It's going to soften your hair a bit to receive that deep conditioner a little bit better. And you're going to apply that to your hair, still wet. And when you're looking for deep conditioners, it's going to say treatment, deep conditioning treatment. It's going to say conditioning mask, something in that type of wording for you to know that that is going to be an extra nutritive step for your hair. And it's something you're going to apply to your hair. And usually it's going to be thick. Usually if you turn the container upside down without the lid on, the conditioner will not just fall out. So that's usually the type of thickness that you're looking for. And you're going to apply it to your hair with heat. So you're going to use your steamer. You're going to use your hooded dryer. You're going to use a heat cap. You're going to use a warm, wet towel and a plastic bag on your head if you don't have a device, an appliance to add heat to your hair. And usually they're made to be applied to the hair and left on for 20 to about 30 minutes tops. Your hair is not going to absorb any extra conditioner after about 25 to 30 minutes. And then you're going to rinse that out. So, Rika, did you want to add anything to the deep conditioning?
Yeah, just that there are different types of deep conditioners, and just going a little bit deeper into that. And this is one of the questions that really prompted us to want to go ahead and talk to you all in a live platform, because we had a lot of people that were using conditioners that wasn't necessarily your prescription. So Shanika talked about your deep conditioner is kind of like your prescription for your hair. And so when you are using your deep conditioner, you want to address the issue. And so if you have dry hair and your hair is breaking because it's dry, you don't need a protein-based deep conditioner. You need a conditioner that is going to be for hydration. And I think that is one of the things that people struggle with a lot, is trying to figure out which conditioner will work best for them. If you have a chemical damage to your hair, or even if you have like color treated hair, like I have a little bit of blonde in my hair, in my natural hair. And so from time to time, I'm going to use a protein mask to help treat my highly lifted blonde hair. But I'm also going to, from time to time, use a hydration mask to make sure that my hair is hydrated and not dry and not breaking and damaged because of the dehydration. Those two things are two different prescriptions, I guess, is what we would refer back to. And most of the time, people are using a protein-based deep conditioner when they really need to be just using a deep conditioner that focuses only on hydration. Curly hair, craves hydration. People a lot of times like, oh, curly hair is dry hair, curly hair is dry hair. And that's not necessarily true, because you can't look at the hair and say that it is dry, because sometimes because of how curly it is, it looks dry. But if you touch it and you feel it, it's very supple and bendable, and it feels soft. But if your hair does actually feel dry, and it is breaking or split on the end due to hydration, you need to deep condition more often. I heard somebody say, how often should you deep condition? Depends on how dry your hair is, or how damaged it is. Like if you have chemical damage to your hair and it's very severe, then I would suggest to deep condition once a week. If your hair is extremely dry, then I would suggest to deep condition once a week. So it's on a per case basis, but I would say a lot of times err on the side of using a moisturizing hydration deep conditioner versus a protein, because you can use the protein and it will give you an adverse reaction, because that's not what you need to use.
Right.
There's a question that says that how often should the creamy crack girls deep condition? So if you have a relaxer, because we do have clients that still have relaxer. So if you have a relaxer, you should definitely try to do some treatment after you do that chemical service. And then in between, maybe every 1 to 2 weeks, if you don't have any damage due to that relaxer, doing some type of a low protein, not any high protein, not a protein treatment, but maybe a mask that does have a little bit of protein in it as well, maybe every two weeks or so. Right. Because you do have that chemical treatment, your hair does need a little bit of an extra step with the protein in it. Do you agree, Shanika?
Yes, for sure.
All right.
Somebody asked the question a little while ago if they should use a spray leave-in or a cream leave-in. There's a couple of variables to that. You can use one of the variables is, how are you wearing your hair? Are you wearing it curly or are you wearing it straight? Because spray leave-in is usually going to be it's going to be lighter on your hair. It's not going to be as heavy or weighed down. A cream leave-in is going to have a little bit more heavier emollients, a little bit more oil, and things like that in it. And that's not something that you necessarily want in your hair if you're going to be wearing it straight, because it's going to weigh it down and it won't be flowy. It also depends on what your hair likes. Do you need more moisture, or do you need more emollients for your hair? And if you do, you're going to get that more so with a cream leave-in conditioner versus a spray leave-in conditioner.
Right. And Shanika said this about the cream being maybe a little bit heavier versus the spray being lighter. So if you plan on wearing your hair straight, you don't want to put a lot of heavy products in it. You want to keep it light and maybe use a spray conditioner. But again, you really have to lean back to what your hair likes, what helps it to be the most manageable. So do you have any other questions about deep conditioning? We talked about how often, we talked about the different types, the benefit of do not skip the heat. The heat is what makes it work. The reason why it's so thick is because it has extra oils and nutrients and things in it that are activated by the heat. So don't skip the heat when you're using your mask and your deep conditioners. Let's see, we talked about the different hair types and why each ones are important to make sure that you're using the right deep conditioner for your hair. So let's go to the 3 C's. So cut, color, and chemical. Let's talk about it. And one of the notes that I left to myself was just encouraging everyone to leave the 3 C's to the professionals.
Please and thank you.
In this time of the corona crisis, we are all at home and we got time. And so some of that is idle. And you might be thinking, I can trim my own hair. Or, I'm going to put this color in my hair myself. Or I'm going to do this keratin treatment or do this relaxer myself. And because nobody wants to walk around looking rough, right? I get it. I understand. But I would say me and Shanika both, like, I do not cut my hair. I do not color my own hair, and I do not do my own. I don't do any chemical treatments other than, I guess, color, if you put that into the category. But Shanika does that for me, and vice versa. Like,
Rika is my hairdresser.
Right, we are each other's hairdressers. So, and we are professionals, and so we know what we're doing. So, in essence, I could, if I really needed to, do that, but I leave it to Shanika because of the expertise that you get when someone is standing behind you, and the perspective that we have when we're cutting and coloring and doing chemicals is totally different than when you're trying to do it yourself. I mean, say for instance, even me, trying to do my own protective style. When I got to the back, it was challenging because I could not see the back of my head. Whereas if Shanika was doing it, it may not been that much of a challenge for her because her perspective and where she's standing is totally different. And so I would say, try not to cut your own hair. Leave it up to us. And then when you're sitting in our chair, we have to do corrective things to your hair that we don't like to do, because we want all of our clients to have, as much hair as they want to have. If you want it down your back, we want it down your back. And so, but if you cut in your own hair, then we sometimes have to correct that, which is going to be contrary to your hair goals. So definitely leave those 3 C's, cut, color, and chemical, to the professionals. And I'll let Shanika just add on anything that she wants to add to that.
One thing that I did want to add is kind of throwback to a question we had earlier. Somebody was asking about shedding. Shedding can also be an indication that you need a trim. And I know that nobody can go out of the house and get a trim now, but keep that in mind. When you start getting excessive shedding and you cannot pinpoint a specific reason why, it might be time for a trim. A lot of times we get those fairy knots on the end of our hair. Rika just calls them tangles. Our hair, and it'll start grabbing onto other pieces of hair and cause your hair to shed and come out of your head. So keep that in mind when you're like, oh, my hair is shedding, too much hair is coming out. There's usually a reason why. Also, we go through regular cyclical shedding patterns. Our hair grows, rests, and it sheds. It grows, rests, and it sheds. And it's usually on a pattern which, however your body has set up.
Yeah. And so everybody experiences those 3 stages in different patterns, right? And sometimes if you're going through a shedding phase and it's not growing as fast as it's shedding, then you may experience some hair loss. And so that can be due to something that's going on internally, some type of autoimmune issue, or maybe some type of vitamin deficiency or something like that. But though it's usually not something topically when you are shedding hair faster than you're growing it. Now, if the hair is breaking off like mid shaft, meaning like you have some hair and then it's like just kind of snapping quickly, that is usually something that's going on topically or manually, something that's going on the outside of the hair. But when it is a situation where your hair is just shedding faster than it's growing, you may have something going on internally. Even I experienced this a while, like a year and a half ago, and Shanika can attest to that. You can have some, oh my goodness, the word is escaping me now.
It's alopecia.
Alopecia, yes. Thank you. I don't know why my brain just like went blank. You can have alopecia. You can have alopecia for different reasons, right? So, and especially as a woman, that can happen in your body, but it's an autoimmune thing. It's something going on internally in your body. And so that's something that you have to go to your doctor to talk about. Or even if you are having shedding this or breakage, or your 3 cycles are kind of out of whack, you can also consult a dermatologist. And we always recommend going to see your dermatologist. I've got a couple of my clients now that are under the care of a dermatologist, and I talk to them about what did your dermatologist suggest for you to do. And so then I in turn work with what the dermatologist suggested, because the dermatologist sees below the dermis, below the skin. And so they can see a little bit deeper than what I can. I can only see what's going on the outside of the hair. And so I usually just follow the recommendation of the dermatologist for sure. And I see a couple of people having questions about hair loss. And in our salon, what we do for hair loss, we have a couple of different systems. I think the most popular system that we use is Deca Plus. And we don't want to really start shouting out different types of products, because nobody is endorsing us, and we don't want anybody to think that only one product can work for them, because there are so many different products that we also use in the salon that we don't want to really start to get stuck on particular products. We want to really talk about the method behind the products. But it's a scalp care system. And so it really helps to just balance out the pH of your scalp, which helps give it like a nurturing, fertile ground for the hair to kind of grow back through. And so that's what we use in the salon when we have clients that are experiencing some hair loss, or some scalp issues, or skin issues, and things like that. And Shanika, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and to go with that, one of the most important things to remember is consistency. So whether we're doing the treatment for you, or if you're doing the treatment yourself, you need to remain consistent. So something like just hitting your alopecia areas once a month is not going to get it to help your hair regrow. And to see your hair start to regrow, you're going to have like a 90-day window to even start seeing some significant growth. And so within that 90 days, you need to be very consistent on applying whatever topical you have, doing whatever physical manipulations to your scalp, doing whatever your dermatologist tells you to do, and taking your hairstylist suggestion, and be just very consistent about it, because otherwise it's going to be for naught. It's not going to work.
Yes, and that's in everything, even in your regimen. When we bringing it all the way back up to the top, when we started to talk about, your regimen and things like that. If one time you washing it once a week, and then you're washing it every 3 weeks, and then you go 5 weeks, and and things like that, you want to be really consistent in how you care for your hair. Definitely give yourself some TLC. And I like to switch it up and say time, love, and care. So like, carve out some time for yourself, and definitely make it a permanent decision to care for yourself on a consistent basis. So if you say that, okay, I just want to make my wash day every 2 weeks, then make sure that every 2 weeks that you are cleansing, you are conditioning, you are deep conditioning, you are doing any type of scalp care that you need to take care of. But if you have suggested from a dermatologist or a doctor or even a hairstylist that maybe your regimen needs to be something else, like maybe once a week, or you need to apply something topically daily, definitely make sure that you do that. Consistency is the key. Okay. We want to make sure that we said earlier that we weren't going to start to shout out different products, but we do have products at the salon, and we are doing orders and delivery and shipping. And the delivery and shipping are free. So if you all need any shampoos, conditioners, deep conditioners, definitely email us at professionalopinionllc@gmail.com, and you can send us your name and your address and what products that you're interested in purchasing. All of the products that we sell are on our website. I think all the brands are listed on our website. And then if you have specific questions about what products to get, you can definitely send us an email. It's going to be the best way to do that. So again, the email is also on our website as well at www.cnrbeautybar.com. And you can, like I said, email us and we can definitely get back to you about what products we would suggest for you specifically, as well as being able to ship or deliver those products to you.
There's a couple of questions that we kind of missed along the way. If we want to go back to those real quick, we can hit on them. Somebody asked about how long to keep your products. If you turn your product over, there you'll find a little symbol. It'll be usually embossed or in black print or black ink at the bottom of your bottle on the back, and it will look like a little jar container with the lid lifted up. And that's your indication for when, from the day that you open your product, that's when the clock starts. And then there will be a little number embossed or printed on it. And it'll say anywhere from 12 months to 36 months. So if you're not sure if you've had your products, I think Melisha asked this, if you've had your products from 1 to 2 years, you definitely want to flip your products over, look at the back and see what their recommended shelf life is. If it doesn't have one of those labels on it, just go ahead and chuck it. A lot of times your ingredients in the products can start to break down and become ineffective and just not work. Also, if you have products that are more on the natural side, the shelf life of those doesn't last very long. The shelf life of those are way shorter than products that have a little bit more preservatives in them. So just keep that in mind. I don't know necessarily that using an old product is going to be detrimental to your hair, but it's definitely not going to add any benefit to your hair.
Right. And someone made a comment that that's for makeup as well. Yeah, your makeup has a shelf life.
Absolutely.
And on the packaging, again, it should be a little symbol. It looks like a little container with the lid kind of off of it. And inside that symbol, it'll have a number in there. And that's usually a monthly number. So if it's a 3, it means 3 months. If it's a 12, it means 12 months. Mm-hmm. Or I think it sometimes will, the months, if it's 2 years and it'll say 24. So definitely take a look and make sure that you're not using any old product. Even if it smells funny, sometimes, it's going bad. So
right.
Another question that we had was on protective styles. And that's a whole nother conversation that we can talk about again soon. But I just want to in general say that when you have a protective style, you may not be able to traditionally cleanse your hair the way that you would normally do, as far as like a sudsing shampoo, rinsing, and conditioning. But you can definitely do some scalp care, and we recommend using some sea breeze or some witch hazel to really get in there and cleanse the scalp off and refresh the scalp. You can also use rosemary water and things like that, because that'll help to hydrate as well as cleanse the scalp as well. And then you want to go back in after you cleanse the scalp and use a natural oil. I don't suggest using an oil that is a solid oil, so not a shea butter, not a coconut oil, because those things solidify and that can add to product buildup. But definitely things like olive oil. We love rice bran oil in the salon because it's a really nice hypoallergenic oil. So we do have that for retail. And then also a vitamin E oil and things like that that will help to soak into the scalp rapidly and don't necessarily cause a whole lot of product buildup when you're having a protective style. So hopefully that general explanation will help. I also would not recommend leaving your protective styles in more than 6 weeks. And that varies depending on the type of protective style that you have. Some should only be maybe 4 weeks. Some you could maybe push to 8, but you really don't want to leave your protective styles in longer than an average of 6 weeks. And so if that's something that you all would like for us to talk about again in another live session, definitely hit us up and let us know. Also, hit us up and let us know what other topics that you would like for us to cover, and we will definitely take that into consideration. I don't want to rush to the thank yous, but I want to make sure that I don't forget to say thank you. Also, to let you all know how much we really appreciate you all viewing the live stream. This is our first one. I was nervous. I don't know if Shanika was. I think she was a little
nervous.
So we appreciate you all viewing our live stream, and we want to make sure that the information that we're giving out is informative and correct. And so that's why we, as hairstylists, licensed professionals, wanted to definitely give our suggestions as far as how to care for your hair right now. And so definitely, like I said, thank you so much. Thank you to all of our clients who have, given us some love throughout the last couple of weeks. We miss you all. We do. We love you all, and we miss you all. And we cannot wait for our salon to be back open so that we can welcome you all with open elbow bumps. Right. So, Shanika, I'll turn it over to you as well.
Yeah, we just appreciate all the love and the good thoughts and energy that you're sending our way, and just know that we're doing the same for you. I'm praying for everybody like every day. So, and we'll get through this all together. And just like Rika said, if you have any suggestions on what you want to see, either on our YouTube page or what you want to see us do on a live, we can try to accommodate that to the best of our ability. But just know that we appreciate you greatly.
Really yes, we do. And like we said before, we do have a YouTube channel, so definitely go and subscribe. We're going to put this video on YouTube, so if you missed any of it, it'll be there. It's also going to be in our Facebook stream feed as well. You'll be able to view it there as well. Definitely share the video with people who you think need the information. And you can also share and view on our YouTube page as well. And our YouTube page is C&R Beauty Bar. So definitely go there and look it up and give us some more suggestions. Definitely try to send your questions to our email so that we don't miss them. But if you need to also send them to our Facebook, we'll definitely try our best to make sure we don't overlook anybody. Okay. All right, Shanika, we did it. Love you guys. We miss you all. We had so much fun. This was fun. So we'll definitely try to do it again soon. All right. All right, you guys. We'll see y'all.
All right. Take care.